Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Station is ready for the event.
Today show, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Yeah, let me sign your DVD.
Station, this is New York Audio Today Show. How do you copy me?
I want to thank you guys again. Alex, right, the public does open when?
April 5th.
All right, just making sure, from our sister company, Universal. Up next.
Station, this is New York Audio Today Show, the Bill and Audio Today Show. How do you copy us?
Spacewalk with the astronauts involved.
We can hear you loud and clear.
This is one when they didn't have to speak.
Copy that. Thank you very much. Our talent will be with you momentarily. We're going into a commercial break. We'll be with you momentarily. And Nick and Christina, this is Bill in New York Audio. We copy you loud and clear. Thank you. We're approximately 2 minutes out. We are approximately 2 minutes out from a commercial break, and we'll be coming to you live. Houston, we'll be back with you in about 30 seconds from a commercial break.
Welcome back. In early March, NASA announced plans for the first ever all-female spacewalk, and astronauts Anne McClain and Christina Koch were set to be part of that team.
But last week, just days before the big event, it had to be canceled. There were issues with spacesuit sizing. Both women needed to wear a medium-sized upper torso, but only one would be ready in time. So on Friday, Koch completed that spacewalk with Nick Hague instead.
All three are joining us. This is pretty cool. Live from the International Space Station to talk about what happened. We have astronauts Nick Hague, Christina Koch, and Anne McClain. And guys, I want to start with you, Anne. We were down here on the planet Earth with two pom-poms looking up. We were hoping for the first all-female spacewalk, and all of a sudden they said it was scrapped because of a suit. And I thought, I wonder how bummed out Anne is. So, Anne, how bummed out were you?
So I think by now most people know that was actually based on my recommendation. I think as the lead for the U.S. segment up here on the space station, we are always looking at ways to make our team and our job execution the most efficient that we possibly can. I'm extremely proud of Nick and Christina. We're all classmates from the 2013 astronaut class. We all got to NASA at the same time. So we kind of just shuffled the crews around. There was no spacewalks that were canceled. These guys went out the door last Friday. I'm going out the door again next week, and we're certainly looking forward to that. And so, we've been so busy and focused on this mission that it's actually just been a really great time to be up on Space Station.
Well, you're famous down here for a bunch of reasons, not just for being up in space, but SNL had a little fun with you. A.D. Bryant played you, and we're going to just play you a little clip of how SNL focused on this, all right? Here it is.
They can make a special spacesuit for a dog or a special spacesuit for a monkey, but human girl, only one gets to be Moon Queen. And so, yeah, I'm actually happy happy as hell.
Happy as hell? Really?
Yeah.
All right, Ann, I know we're on a little delay, but what's your take on that?
Hi, I'm Nick. We saw the SNL skit and it was hilarious. It had us crying. It was great.
Yeah, quite honestly, it was the laugh we needed up here yesterday.
Hey,
it was one
Christina,
thing to launch into space and realize our dreams of being an astronaut.
Most of us. No, I do want to hear more because obviously none of us have been in space or will go to space. But what is it like when you're out there? And, I mean, those suits look bulky. How important is it to fit right so you can actually go outside and do your job?
Yes, it is an absolutely incredible experience to be outside the space station. Friday was my first time doing it, and it blew me away. Floating above the Earth with nothing between you and the Earth 250 miles below you except for your own personal spacecraft known as your spacesuit is a pretty amazing thing to be able to accomplish, and we're lucky to be part of a team that enables us to do that. The spacesuit is bulky, even no matter what your size, and it provides for a very small work envelope, kind of like right in front of you. So any of you that watched the spacewalk may have noticed that we were constantly repositioning ourselves so that we could get the job done with the tools and tethers that were right in front of us. So it's very important to have a great fit, and we're lucky that we can all get out there and kind of push through those challenges.
Well, we want to thank you guys, Christina, Ann, and Nick. We should point out Ann did go out for her spacewalk as well. Everyone's been out, and we're happy that you guys did it. We're cheering you on from down here. Thanks, you guys. We appreciate you.
Guys. Safe travels back to her.
All right. We will be back in a moment, but first, this is Today on NBC.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the Today Show portion of the event. Please stand by for a voice check from CBS News.
This is Bill Harwood. How do you hear me?
We have you loud and clear. Welcome aboard Space Station.
Hey, thanks very much. Well, you know, for most people, being an astronaut would be a big deal, but making Saturday Night Live, I guess, is also quite an achievement for you guys.
It was certainly something none of us expected, but we had a good laugh about it yesterday.
Well, hey, listen, you know, you three are all making your first flight, obviously, or maybe I guess I should say for Nick it's his second. But you've all gotten to walk in space now, and I know you guys, when you're outside, are focused on work first and foremost. But what's it like out there from your perspective? What's the view like? Did it live up to your expectations?
Bill, it's almost difficult to find the words to capture just how amazing you're outside. You're in an environment where you feel like you really shouldn't be there in the vacuum of space. You're doing a complicated task, and then to see the Earth just kind of peacefully gliding by underneath you, 250 miles below, and you can see the mountain ranges covered in snow, and you can see the oceans and the deserts, and it's just this surreal experience. And then to watch the sun set and the sun rise multiple times during the spacewalk, it just takes your breath away.
Christina, you and Ann originally were going to make that first all-female spacewalk, and that's gotten a lot of attention on the ground. And then when it didn't work out, it got even more attention. Did you guys expect that? I mean, did you realize going in how the media and the public would make this a milestone sort of event?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think up here we're so focused on the mission that really wasn't at the forefront of our minds. We obviously recognize that it will be a very, very exciting time when the first all-female spacewalk does happen, both because it will hopefully inspire future space explorers as well as pay homage to those that paved the way for us to be where we are today. So we recognize that it's an important milestone and an exciting one, and we look forward to participating one day when it does happen.
And let me ask you one along those lines. I mean, should this even be considered a milestone? In other words, I guess one could argue that the real milestone is when no one thinks it's a milestone. What do you think?
You know, and Christina kind of mentioned it. You know, when these crews were put together, it was the best crews, the best trained crews for that day and for that mission. And then we constantly are reevaluating our mission. And after this first spacewalk, we do what we do after every single spacewalk, which is reevaluate how everything went, reevaluate the path that we're on, and make sure that we are working with the most efficient team possible. So I think you're absolutely right. The fact that, you know, Christina and I got initially paired up together, and it was because we were the two that were there ready for the job. You know, that does speak volumes. This wasn't it wasn't intentionally set up, and it certainly wasn't intentionally canceled. In fact, nothing was canceled. These two went out the door and did the mission the other day, and they were the best team for that on that day. And I do think that you know, in the near future we will have two females go out on a spacewalk, but we can all be assured that when that happens, it will be because those two are the best team for the job on that day.
Well, just one more quick one on this topic, and then I promise I'll change gears. You know, it's pretty clear the public and maybe the media didn't understand the subtleties of suit resizing. But you went out on that first spacewalk, and you obviously trained on the ground before you all knew the suit availability when you went into this. So what changed? I mean, what did you realize after your first spacewalk that made you think, well, you know what, I'd be better off if I waited till a medium was available?
Yeah, so on that first spacewalk, I used the medium. It's the one medium that we had configured on board, and my plan was to use a larger suit on the second one. And what happened on the first one is that everything went great. Nick and I went out, we performed our mission, we were both very efficient in our suits, and so it would have actually been, you know, a change to the configuration to go out in a larger suit on the second one. And, you know, if you have a winning team, you don't change things for the next game. And so what we did is, you know, Nick fits well into the suit that we had ready to go, and so just by he and I switching, we both stay in a suit that we had now proven out in the vacuum of space worked for us.
Okay, well, let me change gears real quick and ask you about a couple other things real quick. Last week, Vice President Pence told a meeting of the National Space Council that the administration wants NASA to put astronauts back on the moon within 5 years. All three of you are young enough to make that trip if NASA can turn that into reality. Is that something any of you or all of you might want to do?
I think all of us. I think you know, that was a really exciting announcement, you know, for our country and for the space program as a whole. We are all super excited about it. You know, I think everybody's got appreciation for how much work will go into that. It's the start of a long journey, you know, but having a focus to get back to the surface of the moon by 2024, that's where our agency's headed. And certainly all of us will play whatever role we're asked to play in it. It will be great to see boots on ground again on the moon.
Nick, what do you think of that goal, putting astronauts on the moon in 5 years? How realistic is that in the absence of a major budget increase, which I don't think anybody sees coming?
You know, so in terms of setting the goal, I think it's an exciting time to be involved in space. You know, I'm very lucky. We're very lucky to be in the position we're at now. I think it's inspiring, and it should hopefully get more people involved in space and get more people interested in seeing the benefits that we're making on a daily basis here on the space station, but then also the benefits that will come from trying to reach that goal. So in terms of inspiring everybody, I think that it's a great goal to set.
Well, you know, as someone who covered Challenger and Columbia, I remember the impact of schedule pressure. You know, they're already talking about compressing tests and processing in parallel to save time. Doesn't that 5-year goal represent kind of a form of extreme schedule pressure? Does that worry you?
So, Bill, before you mentioned my abort back in October, and so I think that my personal experience is that space is a very dynamic and challenging environment, and we're constantly meeting those challenges and finding ways to overcome those challenges and still get the job done. So setting those goals and finding ways to achieve them, that's just what we do on a daily basis at NASA. You know, the spacewalks that we just did, they were supposed to happen back in October. Nobody expected my rocket to blow up during launch. So it's just what we do. It's the nature of the business we're in. We identify those challenges, we set those goals, and then we achieve them.
Christina, let me ask you one. Do you think we're still in a space race? In other words, does it matter to you that other countries may well be attempting moon landings in the 2020s. Is it important for NASA to lead that return to the moon, or does that matter given that you've already been there, done that?
I think that this day and age, we're really in an era of international space cooperation, and that can take many forms. Sometimes it's partnerships, and sometimes it's a healthy cooperation in terms of competition, where we inspire each other, we learn from each other's innovations, and that's one reason that we've brought in the commercial sector with NASA, because they have innovative ways of doing things. So we all learn from each other, and the international effort is certainly a very important aspect of it, however it manifests itself.
Well, you guys are already a couple of 100 miles closer to the moon than the rest of us, and I guess, Nick, you and Christina will be there in orbit in July when the 50th anniversary of Apollo 11 rolls around. And I know you guys weren't around for the actual landing, but it must have been an inspiration of some sort for any would-be astronaut. What are your thoughts about that anniversary?
We are very, very honored that we will be members of the Off the Earth team during that anniversary. We pay homage to our heroes that paved the way all the time. And in fact, the mission emblem for the mission that will be taking place during that anniversary, Expedition 60, embodies our respect for that original moon landing. And so we plan to commemorate it here on board. We have some exciting plans for that, and mainly we just feel full of honor.
And for any of you, some would argue the moon landings marked one of the seminal events in human history. Others view it as more of a purely technological achievement. How do you guys see it? I mean, is this one of the landmark achievements in human history, or is that maybe putting too much on top of it?
I certainly don't think that would be putting too much on it. I think it was very pivotal. We've had some amazing landmarks in all of exploration history. You think about humans have always had a propensity to explore. We've never been satisfied just staying within within what we know. We went across lands, we went across oceans, and then we took flight, and then we did space exploration, and that's natural. That's what humans do. We always look out and see what's next. And every time that somebody makes a next step is a pivotal moment, because it shows what we can do when we cooperate, when we dream, and when we combine those dreams with appropriate technologies. I've always said that spaceflight is the intersection of the magical and the technical. And sometimes when you don't have all the technical answers, you have to rely on that part of you that's driving you, just because you are a human. You want to know what's out there, and it gets you past those technical challenges. And, it absolutely is a pivotal moment in space exploration history. And it makes me excited to see what those next pivotal moments will be.
Well, listen, guys, I appreciate your time. I'll ask one more quick one. I mean, looking back on 11, it's hard to believe NASA could pull that off with the technology of the day and the experience at the time. Can you do it again in just 5 years?
NASA has a way every single day of making the extraordinary look ordinary, and I have no doubt that the teams on the ground can pull off this goal. We do best when we are given lofty, bold goals and able to work together to achieve them. So, yes, I believe we can.
Well, thanks a lot, guys. Have a safe flight. Look forward to talking to you down the road.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the CBS portion of the event. Please stand by for a voice check from Good Morning America.
Is that one I read? Okay. Station, this is Sarah Haynes. How do you hear me?
Hi, Sarah. We have you loud and clear. Welcome aboard Space Station.
Oh my gosh, this is so cool. Okay, I am here today talking with NASA astronauts and flight engineers Nick Hague, Christina Koch, and McClain. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, and welcome to our orbiting laboratory over the... We are on GMT, so it is just after 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh, so you do have time up there. Okay. Now, it's safe to say that none of us have ever been to space. How do you guys shower?
So controlling water up here is a little difficult. So we basically wet a towel and take a washcloth bath. And the water goes everywhere, so we drop some curtains down around us so it catches all the water, and then slowly that water dries up over the day and is reclaimed by our water system so that we can drink it later on.
That's amazing. And this was, Christina and Ann, this was your first space flight. What was running through your mind right as it launched?
You know what surprised me? I think everybody, it's a very individual experience, so I'll pass it off to Christina when I'm done. But for me, I was very calm. You know, we do so much training for that day. It's almost hard to wrap your mind around the fact that you're sitting on top of a rocket and that this is actually happening. You know, I remember waking up that morning and thinking, today you're launching to space. You're launching to space today. You know, it's hard to wrap your mind around. And then when you're sitting in the rocket, you know, everything feels very familiar because you've done so many simulations. But then the fact that you just kind of in your mind, you know that this is the real day. And then you hear that, you know, as the countdown comes down, you start hearing the engines rumbling and you can feel the power behind your back. And just knowing what you're sitting on top of it's a pretty incredible and unique experience as you sit there and feel that.
Honestly, Ann's experience was very similar to my own. I was oddly a lot more calm than I expected to be. It felt just like training, and you know, at the end of what felt like one of our many simulation events, we just actually started moving up, and we kept going up, kept accelerating, and before we knew it, we were hit 0G. It was an amazing experience, and you know, just my honor to be a part of it.
Wow. Do you guys really eat that hydrogenated, like that dried out food?
Yes, we sure do. All of our meals are either rehydrated or they're in kind of a thermostabilized packaging so that we just have to heat them up and open them up, just almost like an MRE. So they actually are pretty good. I've enjoyed it so far. I kind of like the fact that I don't have to roll up my sleeves too much in the kitchen and prepare it. It's a pretty quick way to eat.
Is there anything you miss eating? Because you guys are up there for like 6 months.
Yeah, I'm on month 4, and you know, I'm surprised at how much I don't miss things, but how much I appreciate different things. You know, Nick was able to bring up some pizza fixings, and so we were able to have pizza night last night. And when I had the pizza, I thought, man, I guess I did miss this because this is really good. You know, the only thing we kind of miss out on is textures. You know, we can't really do crumbly, so anything that's kind of crisp, we don't have up here. But, you know, honestly, we have such a variety of food up here that I haven't found myself missing anything even after 4 months.
Okay. I just need to know you're well fed while you're up there. You're doing important work. But this was supposed to be the first all-female spacewalk, but it got canceled because of a suit that didn't fit. Who made the call?
That was my recommendation, and actually, so Nick and I went out the door last week and did a spacewalk, and at the time, the suit that I was wearing, it fit perfectly. I was very happy in it, and Nick was happy in the suit he was wearing. We didn't want to make any changes, and so I was planning on changing sizes on the second suit. And because everything went so well on the first one, we realized, you know, hey, we don't need to inject any additional unknowns into something that is as important and can be as dangerous as a spacewalk. It's very important that all of us are able to work as efficiently and safely as possible. And so Nick and I swapped. So he was scheduled to go out the door next week, and instead he and Christina went out on Friday. They did an amazing job. They were absolutely the right team for the job, and I'll be looking forward to going out the hatch again next week.
Well, I know you can't see this right now, but since we do like to plan ahead, and you've got me looking out for you right now, we have a Strahan and Sarah size medium space suit. that we're sending up with an intern, so it should arrive in about 5 to 7 days, if my math is correct, which it probably isn't. So just wait for it. But it's coming. So you guys are all set, and it's going to look great. I just know it. Can you guys do any cool space tricks for me? Like, can you flip around or play with gravity for a second here, or the lack thereof? Oh, this is amazing. It's like you've done this before. Is she always the guinea pig?
All right, give me a sec. Now I'm dizzy.
It's the new guys having some fun.
So the launch was fine. It's the flipping. Now, can you tell us what exactly a spacewalk is when you're out there?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it's definitely not just puffy suits and pretty pictures. It is a lot of work. Every time we go out there, we have a mission. You know, this particular spacewalk was to upgrade the batteries on the power system of the space station. So we have new improved batteries that will help us increase space station's lifespan out into the 2020s. And it was actually scheduled for 6 months ago. In fact, Nick was going to go do these spacewalks last October, and because of the launch abort, they were moved to where they are right now. And so when we go outside, they're about 6 to 7 hours normally, and we always have a mission. So these are battery upgrades. We did 2 series of battery upgrades, and next week we're going to be installing a redundant power channel for our robotic arm. And so they're a lot of work, 6 to 7 hours outside, but prior to even going out, in order to get suited up and get ready and get your body ready, it's 6 to 7 hours of work before you even go out the door. And before that day, it is years of training to be ready to do these. And so they are very physically and mentally intensive, but they are what keeps Space Station running.
Now, I just have to ask you, what do you do for fun? You guys are up there for months at a time. There's got to be a game like Taboo, Heads Up, charades, floating charades, whatever it is that you guys call it. What do you guys do when you have a little time to kind of refill your fun tank?
Yeah, great question. I think it's a combination of, you know, group activities together and also taking some time to just look out the window and see the Earth and how beautiful it is going by, keep in touch with our friends and family and loved ones on Earth. When we do get together as a group, we like to have movie nights. We like to do group dinners like either pizza night or special things that take a little more work to do. Obviously, card games are a little tough because the cards just sort of float everywhere. You can't actually have a stack to pull from, but we have some fun, unique things that we try and bring up here to sort of make it feel like game night at home and whatnot. But also just hanging out and talking with each other, learning about each other's lives and families. It's a great time.
Well, thank you guys, Anne, Christina, Nick. Thank you for taking the time. I know you've got a lot of work to do up there, but we really appreciate you being here or there with us right now. Good luck. We're cheering you on.
Thank you, and thank you for all of the support.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event.
Thank you. Today's show, CBS and Good Morning America station. We are now resuming operational audio communications.